So I'm here with Sean Doyle, a senior vice president and sales manager for Texas First Bank. Sean, how are you?
I'm good. How about you, Jim?
I'm good. Do you have the antlers on purpose? Is to
Yeah, this is some decor that entered my office in 2018 and just hasn't quite left yet.
I got to know if you actually shot that deer. Is that
I
is that a fair
did.
question? Okay. Okay.
That's a very fair question, and I did in 2017
All
on a
right.
hunting
Well,
trip.
good. Congrats.
Thank
Well,
you.
good. Well, I appreciate you being here. I'm going to jump right in. I've just got a few questions for you, kind of about the market and what's happening right now. I'm
Sure.
going to give you the hard one first and go right there out of the gates. Let's talk
All
about the
right.
elephant in the room. We would love your take on what you see as the long-term effects of the Silicon Valley Bank failure. How are community banks better positioned to fare in this economic uncertainty and support companies like your clients, financially solid, high growth type companies?
Yeah, great question, Jen. Obviously back when that occurred in March 10th, kind of, sent waves across the United States of America. And the one thing I will say about Silicon Valley Bank is that, they did not have a good business model, and it's not the community bank model, right? I mean, they had a lot of startup tech companies invested in crypto, which, a lot of community banks don't do, right? And they had some large depositors kind of exit the bank and withdrew a lot of deposits in cash, and basically just took their capital next to and liquidity next to nothing, and they ended up failing. And so I think, it could stem from better regulation on a bank like Silicon Valley Bank, who had a lot of risk with the items that I just mentioned. And at the same time, the regulators, they allowed this to happen. They knew that Silicon Valley Bank was, investing in this type of business,
Okay.
had these types of clients, and also at the same time, they didn't even have a chief risk officer for quite some time. So just red flags across the board everywhere. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, community banks are going to carry some of this scrutiny in the future, and there's going to be more regulation, which I think there should be regulation, but not so much on the community banks. Focus on the national banks and the big banks who have these types of issues, like the Wells Fargo's we've seen, the Bank of America's. We've seen the big banks have issues, but not so much the community banks, right? The community banks are, very conservative, have healthy balance sheets, and have a diversified loan portfolio and diversified loan customer base and client base.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Yeah.
those are some of the things that I can say about community banks, and what we'll see is the more regulation. Unfortunately, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Next one's a little bit self-serving, so forgive me up front. But a recent speaking of risk, survey of the bank directors by the Texas Bank Association found that most of them, 50%, believe that talent retention is a top strategic challenge for their organization and a reason we got into the industry. Do you agree? And if so, why?
Yes, I think that it is, basically talent retention is an issue and a strategic
Yeah.
challenge for community banks, right? You don't The younger generations, they're not really getting to community banking. It's gotten better probably over the last couple of years, but in the last 10 to 15 years, you still have a lot of young bankers entering
Mm-hmm.
into the banking industry, and you have some of these executives who are retiring and or don't have any succession to on the executive team and or their board of directors to continue. And so I think
Mm-hmm.
that's why you see a lot of banks end up selling to either larger community banks or big banks in the markets that they serve. So it's an issue, and there's no doubt. I mean, for us, luckily that we have a lot of young talent, a lot of seasoned talent on our executive team, and we have a good strategic plan. And I would say for most of community banks around in our markets that we serve, that is to be the case. But in some markets in Texas and in the United States, the same can't be said. And so
Yeah.
you hope that you can find the right talent, keep the right talent, because some either exit banking, right, or they go to another bank that pays them a little bit more, whether that's a
Mm-hmm.
larger community bank or a big bank. But we make it a very a huge focus here at Texas First Bank. You guys did a search for us last year and finding that talent, and our goal is to retain that type of talent. So
Yeah.
that's something that we look at daily here at the bank, and part of our strategic vision.
Yeah. I think it's a challenge for a lot of folks. So, all right, good. And then I'm not going to let you off the hook without a political question. What type of position do you think Texas, and I think y'all service about 7 counties that Texas First Bank serves, will be in when the campaigning kicks into high gear?
I think for like I said, we have, for Texas First Bank, we have a healthy balance sheet for us, and we're in a
Yeah.
good position. But with, the political season coming up, as we all know, everybody pays attention to it, right? I think Texas is in a really good place. We're the ninth largest economy in the world, right? And I think some people, forget that. And with all the different business industries that serve and operate in the state of Texas, oil and gas, medical, technology, aerospace, agriculture, transportation, manufacturing, logistics, insurance, and even public, the public schools, teachers,
Yeah.
administrators, etc. We're in a very good place, in political season arises, and obviously, the economy kind of reacts to that, right? And so I think that as long as we remain conservative in our approach, which we have historically and are currently and will do in the future, we'll be in the right position. And there's no better place that I feel like to be in than the state of Texas. And so,
Mm-hmm.
and especially in the Southeast Texas and the Houston area, we're very, very lucky with all the industries that we have, not only in the Houston area, Beaumont area, but all together in the state of Texas. Look at it collectively to Dallas, DFW, Midland, Lubbock, Amarillo, etc. We're in a good place.
Yeah. No, I agree. Couldn't agree more. Well, good. Well, Sean, I think that's it. I appreciate your time today, and we especially appreciate your business over the last year or so. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely, Jen. Thanks. Anytime.
Uh-huh. Bye.
Bye bye.